You know, the objective for every team is to win.
Le prime posizioni, mentre nel gruppo tutti i giorni a disposizione degli altri.
Vegem ja els primers escapats.
I would definitely say it's a bit of a reflection on my personality because, I mean, I just loved it. I loved it so much. And, you know, just because road cycling didn't exist where I was from didn't mean it wasn't what I want. I mean, I just loved cycling. So I kind of decided that if it wasn't where I was, I need to go where it is.
Sometimes in life, things don't work out or things don't go the way that you plan. And sometimes I look at him and I think, well, maybe the fact that that thing fell through, it's better, because it'll just motivate him. And he has so many things inside of him that are just waiting to come out.
Well, as a cyclist, I achieved a few things. I mean, I achieved a great career and a lifestyle that, you know, was exactly what I was looking for. Racing to me was a different thing than cycling was to me. I really loved training. I really loved being outside and riding, and racing was almost secondary. Racing to me was sort of what I needed to do the first one. From the outside, if you look at purely results, probably not what people would say was the most amazing career out of any professional cyclist. But from an internal perspective, I mean, I think I had the best career ever because it just allowed me to do what I love to do.
Yes. I will be 100% honest that being married to a professional athlete really sucks. Really, really sucks. You live, eat, breathe, sleep, walk, talk, cycling. And it would come to the point where I would want to go for a walk after dinner. Nope, legs up. I want to go for an ice cream. Nope, not in the diet plan. Oh, you know, it's a beautiful day, let's go to the beach. Nope, I have to do 6 hours. And you understand it from, let's say, the wife or the girlfriend perspective. You understand it because it's their job. But in cycling, because it is so consuming, when you're an athlete, it's so consuming, everything else has to come second, otherwise you won't be the best. And so it's the sacrifice that you make, and it's the sacrifice that as the wife or as the girlfriend, you then understand that, look, if he's going to be the best in what he's going to do, you don't get ice cream. You don't get to go to the beach. You always, it's better right from the beginning to understand this is not about you. It's not about your marriage. It's not about your relationship, because if he is trying to achieve what he knows he can achieve, everything you want comes secondary. When he did the Tour de France, we had reached, in my mind, this pinnacle of, this is it. Everything we've worked for, we're done. And the next day, he got a call up from his director. He had to go to a race. And it was just, it hit me like a ton of bricks. This is not even close to over. This is maybe the halfway point. And so I had a little bit of a breakdown, and I told Christian, look, I'm gonna need to do something for me. I love people, I love working. And I said, I need to do something that I can really pour myself into the way you have into cycling. And so we made the decision together to open La Fabrica. And
you know, we thought it could work, maybe, maybe not, but it wasn't even about that. It was more just about having something for us to follow our passions and sort of keep growing. At that time, the roasting was being done by someone else. I wanted to bring it in-house, so we opened another cafe called Espresso Mafia so that I could do all the roasting. Girona started to pick up this momentum of being, you know, why are all the professional cyclists living here? What's going on there?
I don't know where it comes from. I think maybe just so many hours on the bike, he'll just manifest ideas that will work.
So that quickly led to our third business at the time, which was the service course. I mean, essentially it was the premise of a professional cycling team, but for cyclotourism. And that was also in 2016, so we opened those 3 businesses within 3 years, all while I was still racing professionally on the side. And it was absolute mayhem. I mean, I think about it now and I think about what was involved in doing that and how much we were working and just how much we loved it and we're just grinding every day.
That was probably the only time in our relationship where I've ever seen sports come secondary. And I think when you take the athletics out of him, that's when he doesn't really know who he is. And I think he went a bit far down the rabbit hole in what he was trying to create with the bike shop and with so many people being involved that he kind of lost his identity for a bit.
You know, in the end, it didn't really go how I imagined it would go. When you sort of start your own business and you know you have your vision and you have your ideas and you're able to just execute what you want to do, to let that go, I think is a big mistake for anyone who's in that position. When I sort of said that leaving professional cycling for me was very easy, leaving the service course was very, very, very difficult for me because it was something that I felt encompassed everything that I loved to do. I struggled to leave that behind, and it wasn't necessarily the cycling, but it was all that other stuff, you know, that I really dedicated a good amount of my sort of real energy into building that. You know, there was a very strong association between myself and the service course. And I didn't really want to put myself out there in terms of going to group rides or going to events or going things where people were always asking me about that. Every time the emotions it brings up is something that I don't really want to deal with. At the end of the day, sure, time heals everything, but you know, I needed my time. For me, cycling for that period of time was not fun.
I saw him have to bury a big part of who he was, but through that I saw how he then pivoted and turned to running.
It really made me think a lot about why do I struggle so much to let this go? What is it? It's not the cycling. You know, it's not the bike. Is it the recognition? I don't know. Is it egotistical? Is it, you know, is it the one thing I felt I was good at and I lost that and now nobody will ever remember who I was? Or, you know, why are we so attached and why is it so difficult to disconnect? I was pretty toast, you know, I was pretty emotionally burnt out and pretty physically burnt out from everything there. And then, you know, I needed time just to absolutely just reset myself. Personal growth has always been something I've chased since a young child. In everything I do, once I sort of progress through a particular interest or hobby and I get to a certain point, I then start to, it's not that I get bored of it. I mean, I still really much love cycling and I really much love coffee. But once I don't see a personal progression and personal growth anymore, I start to look for something new that allows me to sort of seek this process of growing as a person. And that can be physically or intellectually or whatever that interest happens to be. You know, and for me it's always been this never really questioning if you can do something and just kind of actually going and trying to see if you can do it. I think at the end of the day we're all really capable of doing kind of whatever you set your mind to. Starting into running was like, holy shit, I'm really bad. I'm not a good runner. I mean, I have a good engine, yes, but I'm a terrible runner. There was so much satisfaction because every little time, I mean, the growth was so quick, you know, it wasn't very incremental. As in cycling, you know, for years, I mean, you train for years and years and years and years to get a tiny bit better. But for me in running, it was kind of this progression was really quick. And I was like, the first year I want to run ultras and I want to, you know, the first time I did 50 kilometers, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then when I did my first 100-kilometer race, you know, it was just, to me, mind-blowing. You know, I was just out there, I'm thinking like, I can't believe I'm doing this, this is wild. And so that level of satisfaction is much greater. You know, over time I started to realize that what I loved about cycling was coming back to this personal growth. It was about the challenge. It was about, for me, the physical challenge associated with it. It was about being amongst people in a community. It was all these other things that actually weren't the bike. And then it just became a matter of, wow, I can actually find all that same stuff running.
Christian Meyer will always be chasing something. Always, always. And I think that's one of the things that makes him so brilliant and so successful is there is no end goal for him. There is always one step further that he wants to go. There's always one more push that he wants to achieve. And as soon as he does that, he'll be on to the next thing. And if it's a different location in the world where he tries to do something, if it's something more physical that he can push himself to do, he doesn't have the end game. And I think that's what makes him so different, is he'll just, I did this, what's next? What are we doing next? How can I go further? But it's like, as long as the world is big and there is Christian, there'll be something that he wants to still push himself to do.
Whenever I'm looking for answers or trying to find something, I really need quiet. And I think nowadays the sort of frequency and the rhythm of modern day life is very high, and sometimes I really struggle with that. I need to get away to the mountains, and it's not even that it's about being alone or being solo, but just being away from everything. I think the main reason I sign up for some trail races is it's always nice to have an objective, you know, to have something that you're building towards. You know, if that's improving yourself daily, and racing kind of offers you that opportunity to see, you know, how it's gone. But at the same time, I think another big factor is that, you know, as much as I'm an introverted person, these events, they offer an opportunity to enjoy a type of an atmosphere. You know, the energy of 1,500 people on the start line, you know, the energy that everybody is feeling about what's ahead. You know, everybody is facing the same challenge. Some people go slower, some people go faster. By the end of the day, there's kind of this collective energy that is just this super buzz, you know, and you carry that throughout the whole day of an event. You know, I think it's also kind of, that helps bring a bit of perspective to what you're doing, you know, because in the professional cycling world, you're surrounded by 200 professionals and you're all there to race and you're all there to win. You know, there's not that much anymore once you've reached that professional level of cycling, I don't feel there's the same level of challenge, you know, because then comes the expectation. You know, if you go to do a Grand Tour, I mean, maybe your first one's a challenge to finish, but you know, by your second one, obviously you're going to finish. Your expectations, you've trained for it. There should be nothing, you know, barring accident or sickness, that should get you from getting to the finish line. So you start to lose a little bit of that, yeah, just that that emotion of taking on something that you really don't know how it's going to end.